place. So why here? Well, I needed some privacy because today's subject is very personal. I read this article about alcoholism the other day that got me thinking that it's time for me to open up a dialogue about drinking habits. In this article from a Dutch recovery magazine, this woman tells a story about her road to recovery that might as well be my story. She explains that she has decided to make it her life's work to help other struggling alcoholics and addicts to discover their path to hope. While I can relate to a lot of this woman's story, there's one major difference. Up until now, I've chosen not to talk about my recovery too publicly because it still feels like a taboo, despite all efforts to lift the stigma. There's this fear of being judged as weak, a junkie, or people not trusting you, or jobs being denied you because of your addictive tendencies. On the other hand, there's people who don't really understand the impact that addiction can have on one's life, and they tend to downplay it. You just drank a little bit too much, just sleep it off and tomorrow will be okay. They don't see the deadliness of the disease, and they might not understand how it can completely control an addict's life. So I'd like to start the dialogue now, so that we can start to lift all of these taboos, and maybe shed some light on the misconceptions. Take a moment to answer this for yourself. When you think of an addict, what do you see? Before I got sober, I didn't see myself as an addict. I knew I had a problem with alcohol, and I wanted to stop for years. But I also believed that I could do it on my own. If I could just say no for one day, then all the other days would be easy. But the problem was saying no that first time, to that first drink. Every morning I would wake up with a hangover, vowing not to drink that day. And every night, my willpower having faded, I would reach for that bottle. And again, I promised myself that the next day I would stop. For years, I believed that I could stop on my own. Every single day. I could admit to myself that I had a problem, but I wasn't like the others who were so weak that they needed a group to sober up. I was stronger. I would win this battle. But I didn't win. My skin turned into a glowing yellow, and I now know exactly where my liver is located because I could feel it stinging every morning. I had so many blackout nights that I started recording all my activities so that I could watch back the next day to figure out what I said or did. Why was I bruised all over my body? Why was this person suddenly angry at me? Where the hell did I park my car this time? I wouldn't even pick up my phone calls anymore past a certain hour, when I'd be just a little too drunk to pretend that I was sober and coherent. Honestly, I was so saturated with alcohol all the time that I couldn't even get proper drunk anymore. I would just go straight into blackout mode. There was nothing fun about it anymore, not for years. And yet somehow, probably because I lived a relatively isolated life and because I mostly only drank at night, I got away with my behavior without anyone really noticing the extent of my drinking. But I knew, and my stubbornness and ego mind kept me from seeking the help that I needed. I could not do it alone. And yet after at least 3 years of trying every single night to quit, I still wasn't ready to admit that. It's a level of insanity you'll only understand if you've experienced it. And I hope you never have to experience that. My road to recovery began when I was living in California. I'm gonna cut it off here for now, because it's getting really dark, but stay tuned, because I will continue this dialogue that I've now opened up. Well, so far it's a monologue, but you know what I mean. To be continued. Peace. Okay, there's a lot of background shit happening. I don't know if you're gonna hear it or not. Please leave. Okay.